You don't want to risk anything right now.
Oh, you don't have to put it on.
Oh, just leave it there.
Yes.
Law and order.
There's
There's
a story to tell.
You have the first question.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Finally back, man. I mean, I know it's a long time in the works. I guess give me the feeling now, a couple days out.
Man, it feels good to be back. Just such familiar feelings. I've been here so many times before. The one thing I think I forgot about was just how much fun I have with my team. As we all get older, we're all starting to adult like more in our own ways. We're getting married, we're having kids. Not that we've grown apart, but just we spend more time apart than we used to. So fight week, when we all get together and get to be cooped up in the hotel room for a few days, I've just been like nonstop laughing for the last like 36 hours. It's been great.
That's awesome. I know.
There we go. We're off and running.
That's great. I know how much you love the sport, right? But as you're battling to get back and dealing with issues, was there any part along the way you're like, man, commentary is kind of fun, and broadcasting, not getting punched in the face sure is nice?
I just had too much left in the tank. The only shadow of doubt I had was, it's no secret I've had back issues. Almost had to have back surgery in 2016. Then, the problem resurfaced again. I promised my then fiance, now wife, that after the Sean Brady fight, after I fought Luque, I said, hey, we'll take time to plan the wedding. And then things didn't go my way, and I told her I can't marinate on a loss. I got to get back in there. So I promised her after Sean Brady that I would take time off, and then things panned out that fight. And then I was like, in my head, I'm like, I might have to just sneak one more in. So I started kind of picking up the training, and herniated a disc in my back really bad, and surgery was on the table again. And it was DC that told me, like, don't get the surgery if you're still going to compete, because after he had the procedure after the Lewis fight, he said he just couldn't train the same. And I'm not done. So fortunately, we were able to get past it, just found ways to really modify my strength conditioning so I wouldn't have any more back issues. And yeah, I feel great, man. It's been a really good camp. I'm really excited to compete again, and it's just good to be back.
That's awesome. I know how much you watch the division, how much you watch the sport. Kevin Holland, a bit of a wild man. I guess, what do you think about him as an opponent, and what are you expecting from him when you're in there?
I think you should just not expect the unexpected. You don't know what he's going to do. You might even shoot a takedown. You just don't know what the guy's going to do. He's a wild card. He did his whole stand-up fight with Wonder Boy for God knows what reason. But, I mean, he's a game competitor. He's pretty well-rounded, I think, more than people give him credit for. He's just a really game opponent. He's super tough. I think him and I have been on a collision course for a while. Even when he was fighting at middleweight, he would always kind of tip the scales around 182, 183. And I'm like, that guy's going to be a welterweight someday, and styles make fights. He's been on my radar for a long time. He's been on my radar probably a lot longer than I've been on his. So the fight's happening, and it couldn't happen at a better time.
Were you panicking at all when he was volunteering to step in a few weeks back? Like, are you like, what is going on right here?
I'll let y'all in on a little secret, because I'm not a big social media guy. I'm not into it. But he wasn't the only guy throwing his hat in the ring, because when Bo Nickel was looking for an opponent, I reached out to Dana and Mick and was like, hey, guys, like, I'm in shape, and I'll still fight Holland. I just don't really do it on social media. I just reach out to the powers that be. So he wasn't the only one that was looking for an extra check in July.
I like it. So is that a fight we need to see at some point?
Me and Bo, I mean, he looked pretty dang good, But I was thinking to myself, like, it'd just be a wrestling match. It wouldn't be that bad. And then I saw what he did to Val, and I was like, well, I'm impressed. Yeah, I mean, that guy's the future. I mean, there's so many things I could say about Bo Nickel. Obviously, I don't want to nerd out too hard, but I mean, you look at the wrestling accolades. If there wasn't a guy named David Taylor in his weight class, he'd probably be a gold medalist in the Olympics. So to have that caliber of a wrestler here in the UFC making waves in such a short amount of time, I think we could see that guy in title contention by the end of next year.
Very cool, very cool. Well, last thing for me in your career, I mean, look, it's all been about the layoff and getting healthy and all that, right? But, man, you're still sitting at number 12 in the rankings. I mean, there's still, like you said, you got a lot left in the tank. So an impressive win here. I mean, are there call-outs, or is it like, let's build on this, or do you kind of have to see how you hold up?
I got one, but I can't say it. I got to win first. But you know me, I'm a logical guy. Like, I'm not a guy that wins a fight and calls out somebody that's unrealistic. And usually anytime I've won a fight and called someone out, I've always got what I wanted. I asked for Magny, I got Magny. I asked for Ferguson after I fought Beneil, got Ferguson. Asked for Beneil after I fought Jim Miller. So I got a great name in mind, and I just got to stay focused. The focus is Kevin Holland, and we'll go from there.
Mike from here. Kevin was in here earlier, and he said that for a long time he thought he didn't like you, and then he realized he just always wanted to fight you, and it was more of a professional grudge rather than anything personal. So do you have any sort of relationship with Kevin?
I could tell. So I think Kevin, I saw an interview one time, and he said I was looking at him funny in Houston when I fought Luque. And two things went into that. One, mentally I was mentally in where my headspace was that fight. I probably was looking weird to everybody. You know, I was kind of battling some internal demons with myself as a competitor. So everybody was probably getting a weird look that week. And honestly, I was trying to, he had 2 chains on, and I remember I was trying to see what they were. I was kind of looking, and then I looked up. I was like, hey, nice to meet you, Kevin. You know, big fan of your work. And then I think from then on, he thought I was just giving him a weird look. But look, I think the guy, he's a hell of a fighter. I've been a fan. You know, Terrence is over there, and I'm happy Terrence is over there. I think that's a great fit for him. I think Kevin's a good mentor for him. I don't really have a bad thing to say about the guy. You know, he's a heck of a fighter, and I think I think everybody could guess in this room if there's one fighter I'm going to talk shit about, it's not going to be him. But it is a Kevin. I'm sure you guys can figure that one out. But you know, yeah, I don't have a bad thing to say about Holland. Hell of a fighter, and if I'm going to lay it on the line, I want it to be against somebody that you know I have respect for. You know, it's like you don't want to have someone get one over on you that you don't like. You know, and there's only one guy in my career that I fought that I didn't like, and just he's got that one I can't get back.
Did you have to do anything in camp to prepare for the amount of trash talk he does in the fight?
Well, I talked about this earlier. Chase Hooper, one day, we were training. He came over to Spokane before we left for Vegas, and we're just having a normal training session, and we're going live, and he was the first guy out of nowhere to just be like, "Come on, motherfucker." I was like,
Chase Hooper?
Chase Hooper, the Chase Hooper. I know. And I was like, after we got done, I was like, where the hell did that come from? He's like, well, you're fighting Kevin Holland, so I figured I'd give you the best look I can. I was like, dude, what a guy. That's a real teammate. But myself sometimes, you know, I was, you know, talking to Sean Brady when we fought and things like that. And I wouldn't be surprised if me and Kevin start having full-fledged conversations in there. You know, you never know what's going to happen in there. But, yeah, there was a few training sessions. We did a little verbal warfare. But, you know, he does know how some guys, he can weaponize that. You know, there's some guys that can't. When he starts putting the heat on you and then all of a sudden he starts talking shit, I think it can melt some guys. But I just don't see that working against me.
Have you heard that Michael Venom Page is a free agent now? And what would you think of him joining the UFC?
I love it. I think that there's a lot of fun fights you could do with that guy. I mean, he's a very brash speaker himself. He's got a very, very fun style to watch. He's got some highlight reel KOs. You know, we'll see. I'm sure he's going to want a lot of money, and we'll see if the UFC is going to be willing to pay him. But, I mean, you can automatically, right off the top, Wonder Boy and Michael Venom Page might